And welcome back to the Midday Show. Today is kind of the show of turmoil. The Ellen Show is going to be ending. Wendy Bell is off the air. Crypto's up in the air. Gas is rising. And COVID is still kind of running rampant across the globe. Mark, how are you doing, though?
Well, I'm happy because I got the wheel set up behind me, so you'll stop yelling at me because you're like, what? You said you're going to do it. You said you're going to do it. And then I finally did it. So there you go.
A week and a half. That's all.
There was a lot. I just showed up one day and there was a shelf here that wasn't here before. And I was like, well, here, I'll just put it here. So
it's almost like someone put it there for you. It's weird.
Somebody did put it there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was just they weren't trying to be helpful. It was just in their way. And that's where they stashed it. But
right.
Yeah, I'm good. I am good. Let's roll. I got my creamsicle shirt going. I look like the old Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, by the way, bad luck to them, open with the Dallas Cowboys next year. So the defending Super Bowl champs are already 0-1.
Hey, do you see your old stomping grounds here over my shoulder?
I do. That is cool. I got to come get that.
The Ellen Show. Did you watch the Ellen Show? Like, were you obviously not like a day-to-day maybe, but
everyone's seen the Ellen Show.
Yeah. So, she has said it's going to end in 2022. She's already informed her staff. She's coming out now and doing interviews. She did a sit down with Savannah Guthrie. Supposedly she's going to be sitting down with Oprah on her show. I believe it might be today that she's doing that. And it is going to be coming to an end after 19 seasons. I'm kind of sad about it. I think she pioneered a lot, and I'm not even talking about just from like social justices. I think from like a talk show standpoint, she pioneered a ton that's overlooked.
Well, she's brilliantly talented. If you've ever seen her original was like on Johnny Carson when she did a phone call to God. Did you ever see that? Yes.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's brilliant. And so she's incredibly talented. The coincidence of it is obviously she seems like the nicest, most lovable person. She begins the show with dancing. She ends the show with like, be kind to one another. And then apparently behind the scenes, she's a monster. And her ratings have really dropped. Now everyone says all talk shows have really dropped, but hers have dropped more. Yeah. But it seems coincidental. She says, when you're a creative and an artist, and again, as advanced as her mind is, you kind of get bored after a while and you're looking for new challenges, and this is no longer a challenge. So she's going to go on and look for new challenges after doing this for 19 years, which is very believable. And that there's probably a whole lot of truth to that. I just wonder how much the ratings hit and the image hit have really stung.
Yeah, you and I have talked about this before. I think when you're competitive or you're someone like her, I'm not saying Ellen DeGeneres isn't a nice person, but in order for her to make it, like to really get through, you can't be a pushover, especially someone like her who was fighting kind of through injustices and heading the right way. I don't think you can be somebody who's just always nice. I think there probably was some sort of mean streak to her.
Well,
you have to be somebody who's willing to point. You have to be someone who's willing to point at somebody and say, you're not doing this right.
And I get that. And she said, like, the person you see on stage, she gave a very good answer to this. She said, the person you see on stage is really me. But there's other variations of me. And I'm also anxious. I'm also angry. I'm also, so it's not just, and she's basically like, I have different moods, but I'm sure there's lots of people who on stage have a persona and off stage have a persona, but multiple people have come out and said off the screen, she is a tyrant. And it's not like, oh, she can have good days and bad days and she can be grouchier. Like, there were people who ripped her, and that it just doesn't happen to the other people. So that's why you wonder why.
Yeah, there's one of the best sayings I've ever heard. Most successful people are not the glass is half full type of people. Most successful people are, why isn't that glass half full? And I think so for me, like whenever I hear something like that come out, I'm not that surprised. There has to be some sort of aspect where maybe they don't have to be a tyrant, but certainly they know what they want and they're going to demand that they get it out of the people working for them. From the Pioneer side, I think she was one of the first to really figure out how to use YouTube, how to create segments that would go viral on the internet. She really was the first one to figure some of this stuff out and really help kind of propel her show. And I don't think she's necessarily viewed that way. I don't think she's viewed as someone who propelled like the 5-minute YouTube segment and kind of getting people's attention that will go online and go viral. I think she deserves a lot more credit for that than what she gets.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately, to a lot of the generation, she is the first one who, you know, like came out and during her sitcom that, you know, she announced that she was lesbian and that is one of the other things that overshadows her brilliance. But she has been you know, to how many people, to such a generation, she's just Dory. And in that part as a voice actress for Dory in Finding Nemo, she was on it. Now, the second one wasn't very good, I didn't think. Did you see the second Finding Nemo, Finding Dory?
The second one was fine, but it wasn't the first one.
Oh, right. But so anyway, she's incredibly talented. She is a brilliant person, and it's coming to an end for whatever reason.
Last part of this that you and I have talked about before too is knowing when to leave. And I think, you know, 19 seasons, she may have just stayed long enough where she became the bad guy. And there's always a tipping point where if you stay too long, things are going to come out, problems are going to occur, the world has shifted, things have changed. And I think she's another example of like when you just hold on for too long.
Yeah, I don't know about that, because I think people get to a point where they're beloved and they can't, like, you know, again, we talked about it yesterday. Paterno clearly hung on for too long, and even the diehard Penn State fans who love Joe were like, at the end, he wasn't really doing much, and he was just a figurehead. But they defended him, you know, to the end. And I think the aspect with Ellen was that I think people felt that there was a hypocrisy and there was a lack of genuineness, that she talks about being kind, and I mean, they make it sound like she ended the show like be kind to one another, then walked off the set and screamed at people all day. And I'm sure that's not that bad, but that's what the people were like, well, wait a minute, this warm, lovable, you know, it'd be like if Santa Claus went home and beat Mrs. Claus, and after a while you're just like, wait a minute, this guy that everybody loves isn't what he thinks, what he seems to be. So I think that's what happened here. But you know how true it is and how exaggerated it is, we don't know.
Yeah, that's what happens when you hold on too long. Wendy Bell is off the air in Pittsburgh as well. Can we speculate? Can we presume maybe there's a move somewhere else in the state coming? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. We can speculate. We'll just say a local radio guy was working for her. So I mean, she gets bounced a lot.
Yes.
Wendy knows how to lose her job, but she has enough of a radical following that, and I guess the following is dwindling. Yeah, who knows? But she'll pop up somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Is it closer than we think? Who knows? But when you start the 6 degrees of separation, you don't have to go 6 degrees to get Wendy Bell to central Pennsylvania. So,
we'll have to see. In other news, the economy right now and things that are happening. Cryptocurrency was all the rage. SNL happens. Now Bitcoin is dropping significantly. I am of the belief that this is just what markets do. They go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. But you brought up a good point of how much this one seems to be attached to one person or to one company.
It's crazy how Elon Musk controls the stock market. And, you know, he announced himself as the Doge father, and, you know, that they're going to accept, you know, and all that. and he's a big stakeholder in Doge, and Doge starts going up, and then he's going to host Saturday Night Live. Then he did host Saturday Night Live, and it went down. And then he announces what happens with Bitcoin was Elon Musk announced that Tesla wasn't going to take it anymore, and it went so it lost like 15%. So it's incredible. You said, we talked off the air, it might be posturing to make Doge stronger. You said it might be because he knows the effect that he has. He might have wanted it to dip so he could buy in more. So it's just incredible to me that one guy in Twitter holds so much power over the stock market.
Yeah, it's pretty. This is what I will say about the whole crypto. By the way, do you know how much crypto was wiped out in the last like 24 hours? Do you know the number? Have you heard this in the news at all?
How much it's decreased in value?
Yes.
No, I have not.
$365 billion total decreased value in all cryptocurrencies.
Huh. Well, you know, like in anything, if this was an energy stock, if this was a pharmaceutical stocks, like it had to adjust. It couldn't keep
for sure
skyrocketing. So it's just, did it adjust naturally, or did it adjust because Elon Musk, did Saturday Night Live and then made this tweet?
Now, the irony that I explained to you was part of the reason he's claiming to do this is because of like a green initiative. It's how much energy is being used to basically mine Bitcoin or mine cryptocurrency. For me, the irony there is, do you know how many things, utilities and different products that he needs for Tesla and for SpaceX and all this other stuff? And there's no way there's like a green initiative in that. Like, he wouldn't stop accepting the dollar because of all the, non-green renewable things that are going into what he needs. So there's a little bit of like an irony there to me that I think there's something else going on. I don't think it's as simple as, I don't think it's just, hey, this isn't green.
This is all strategy. He covered it well. He made it sound good, but, I don't know. But he probably bought back in today.
Yeah, for sure.
And they did announce they weren't going to sell any of their Bitcoin.
Oh no, they're going to hold it because he's smart and he's, so, he knows that when it dips and he'll get it to go back up and they will make money off of it. I think there's a lot more at play there. And then gas shortages. I don't know if you've seen I have seen more memes and more photographs and videos of different ways people in the South are trying to store gas because of their fear for a gas shortage. Have you seen any of this?
No, I have not.
Okay. There is.
I know. I know they're having trouble. I'd heard Sam's Club was empty last night. Now I've also heard that it's going to be replenished by this weekend. That they're sending a quote unquote armada of trucks out on the roads, and they're waiving like weight regulations, and they're basically making any laws that slowed truckers down before. I don't even know if they have a speed limit anymore. Just get the gas back to the people. But
they have so just some numbers in North Carolina yesterday. 65% of stations were out of gas in the state of North Carolina. 43% were out in Georgia, and around 40% in South Carolina and Virginia were out of gas. I keep using the word irony, but to me, what makes me laugh is technically there's never the public has never had more gas than yesterday. That's the irony to this. Like, the pumps are out, but also like in the States, like I just mentioned, there's more people driving around with a full tank of gas than ever before. So in a weird way, like the gas, it's not a shortage of gas. It's the displacement of it. Instead of the gas being in the pumps, the gas is actually in car tanks and in fuel tanks so I don't know. I don't know what I think of that or how to take that, but there is an irony there.
I wonder, like 3 weeks from now, are people going to be filling up their car with the lawnmower, tank that they filled? Because I'm sure there are people that stopped at the hardware store, bought 3 or 4 extra, lawnmower, snowblower filler thingers, whatever you want to call it, jugs, and they have, garage and sheds full of them. So Is the panic going to end? I don't know. I'm not sure, or if they're going to keep it there, because that's one of the things that people said. Like, gasoline goes bad after a while, and it's not like toilet paper. You can put toilet paper in your basement and leave it there, and unless it gets mildewed, you're good. You just got to keep it, in a dry place. But gasoline, you let it sit for 2 years and and it just don't work anymore. So,
it's just funny. I think people hear that stat and they hear 65% of stations were out of gas, but it doesn't mean the gas was just like thrown away. It doesn't mean the gas just went into thin air. Like 65% of the gas went into cars. Like, it's not. So I don't know. To call it a gas shortage to me just seems, it's a lack of availability, but it's not a shortage. The public has never had more.
I wonder, I'd love to see a stat of if people backed off. If people are like, listen, we're not going to go anywhere today. We're going to stay home tonight. We're not going to make that trip just to make it. Did mileage go down as people were concerned, or did they just keep going? So I don't know.
Some of the memes were great too, like people waiting in line for gas, like burned half a tank of gas waiting in line to get half a tank of gas.
I believe that.
Just little things like that. So we'll see where it heads. You want to thank Weis Markets?
Thank you to Weis Markets. Guess what I'm doing at Weis Markets today?
What are you going to do?
I'm getting my COVID shot.
Wow. Congrats. It's your first, right?
My first. And I don't know if this is, because I tested positive on Valentine's Day was the day. So, and in reading through stuff, they were like, you're supposed to wait 3 months. Now that I've read through it, I think I could have gone earlier. I think if you had it severely, it would have counteracted and stuff. But like kind of right when I tested positive, I was like, okay, I can't really get a shot till mid-May. And that's when I kind of mentally checked it in. And so tomorrow would be exactly 3 months. So I'm a day early. But now this is one of the other things that I've heard about it. And because my mother, who is 77, she got her shot and essentially had no side effects. She felt ill like 5 days later, but we think that was different because it was but like the next day she was great. She was barely sore. And in talking to people that they've said, because younger people have a stronger immune system, that younger people react harder, and that the older the people get, the more gentle the shot has really been on them, because it's, the shot is fighting with your immune system.
Okay.
So I never thought about that.
And neither had I.
So it makes sense. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but it makes sense. So I'll be at Weis Markets this afternoon getting my shot and probably buying some other stuff because I just can't go in and not buy anything. So, But thank you to Weis Markets for being our sponsor on the Midday Show. We only have a $25 gift card, a $50 gift card, a $100 gift card. And we also have gift cards to Eat and Run Catering, the Moon and Raven, and the Break Room. Yesterday, I never lose 2 days in a row. So today is going to be a winner because even though mathematically it should be 33%, I'm kind of a 50% guy.
All right. And today's random winner from the Midday Show Facebook group is Lacina Satson. Satson.
I would say Satson.
Satson?
It looks like Patterson minus an R.
Satterson.
If there's an extra R in there, it'd be Satterson.
Satterson. Satterson. Lacina Satterson.
I don't know.
Here we go.
It sounds a little too exotic for central Pennsylvania, doesn't it?
Messina isn't. I don't know. Messina's eccentric.
Is it?
No.
I guess. All right. We ready? You want a winner? What do you want? What do you want me to spin today? You tell me, I'll spin it.
$100 gift card to Weis Markets for Lacina.
All right. Here it is. We'll set it up. That's the $100 one right there. So keep an eye on it. And here we go. 25.
25. Not bad. Not bad.
Well, $25 gift card. If she would like, I can go blow it while I get my shot. And then just, I'll just owe her.
All right. Congratulations to Lacina. $25 to Weis Markets.
I had trouble getting it back in. All right. There we go.
All right. COVID lottery. You were just talking about shots. Some of the states around the country are coming up with some really unique initiatives. The first one we had talked about, I had mentioned to you, is Kentucky. They are giving away lottery tickets in exchange for your COVID-19 vaccine shot. So they're going to give up to 225,000 tickets in exchange. So I think it's a neat initiative.
Well, we saw that one first, and then my son actually read this one to me while I was in the car. The state of Ohio. So what we think, just to be clear, with Kentucky is it's like a Powerball or Mega Millions or a state lottery ticket or something where, you can win. You might not, it's free. We're blowing money on lottery tickets anyway, but, nothing may come of it. The state of Ohio is doing it differently. They are everyone who, if you're an adult, 18 or older, and you've gotten your shot, you can get your name in a pool, not as cool as the pool on the Midday Show, but right, a pool nonetheless. And they are going to draw out 5 $1 million winners. And all you have to do is be vaccinated. So they are guaranteeing that 5 adults in the state of Ohio will win $1 million if they've been vaccinated and they get their name drawn out of a pool. What they've also done is for ages 12 to 17, they are going into a pool of their own, and they are getting full scholarship, room and board and books, and apparently all the bells and whistles to a state school in Ohio, and they're going to draw 5 of those as well. And the governor said, he goes, I know people are going to say you're crazy, you're giving all this money away. And he's like, we're not crazy. We're losing all this money because everything's closed. Everything's not closed, but you know what I mean? COVID's costing us a lot of money. So we think in the long run, we're going to make out. We're just trying to incentivize people to go get it. So it is interesting. And I'm sure we're going to hear more of these around the country.
Here's what I like about it. I like this a lot better than a threat. I feel, someone mentioned in the comments, it feels like a bribery. I like this bribery a lot more than being held hostage or feeling like it's a threat, like the state of Pennsylvania. To come out and say, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it feels like bribery because it is.
It is. It's 100% bribery. But I will take that over what we've decided to do in Pennsylvania, where it's like, well, until we get to X amount of numbers, we're not removing any of the mass mandate. And to me, that's not like, if you're going to incentivize me, don't try to take away things from me. Give me a lottery ticket. Like, I like it a lot more than what Pennsylvania's doing.
It certainly seems much more. It seems much less heavy-handed, and I don't say draconian. That's probably not fair. But
if I'm in Kentucky or Ohio right now, I don't feel threatened. Like, it doesn't feel like a demand. It doesn't feel like your legislation above you is saying, go get your shot. They're just saying, hey, if you get your shot, you get a lottery ticket. Whereas in Pennsylvania right now, it feels the opposite. In Pennsylvania, it feels like, get your shot or else we're not going to change it. That's what it feels like.
No, I agree. It is from a public relations standpoint. I think they've handled these really well. And even with Kentucky, listen, like in Ohio, people are going to win. In Kentucky, what the Powerball is like 200 million right now. I think the Mega Millions is like 400 million. So. Yeah, I mean, even if you don't win, you're like, hey, you got a shot.
Yeah, well, listen, and I said to you, people don't like McConnell, but don't like. I'm not shocked that Kentucky was the first one to do it and the first one to come up with it. I'm not saying it was McConnell's idea, but it does not shock me that the state that has McConnell representing them was the first one to come up with it.
Could you imagine if? And I know the Powerball's not in every state. I know Mega Millions isn't in every state. They're in a lot of them, but they're not quite in every one. So maybe one or is not in Kentucky or whatever. Could you imagine if Kentucky gave away one of these tickets and the person won the jackpot with it?
Oh yeah.
What a story that would be.
Yeah. And it could happen. And like you said, it's kind of low risk for Kentucky. Like, you're just giving a ticket. Like, I don't know. It makes a ton of sense to me. I think it's a much better strategy than what Pennsylvania came up with.
I agree. I am with you.
All right. This is a neat story to end with. You and I have talked
for you.
A lot.
It's a neat story for you because you hate Duke.
If you'd let me finish, you and I have a lot of conversations about just coaching and relationships and life decisions and all these different things behind the scenes. This one's really unique. There is a player named Patrick Baldwin Jr. I think he's a junior. He's either a junior or the third, but I think he's a junior. He is considered one of the best 5 high school basketball players in the country right now. And when it came time for him to announce where he wanted to go, everyone assumed that he was going to go to Duke. His dad is the head coach at Milwaukee, and he chose Milwaukee over Duke so that he could play for his father. And there's a lot, like, it's a feel-good story, don't get me wrong, but I think there's a lot of other ways to look at this other than just like, oh, father, son, like picking over Duke.
You're just happy that he didn't pick Duke.
Listen, that is like 2% of this story. So whenever you're ready to move past it, I'm ready.
You're a Carolina fan, and we should put the disclaimer at the bottom of the thing.
That's fine.
It is interesting. I mean, one of the things that when we get into college recruiting, and you've been through the process, you've seen kids go through the process through your coaching days. Obviously, my brother went through the process back when he was coming out of high school. There's this level of like bigger is better. And then you see a lot of kids who they get to bigger and they realize that bigger doesn't mean happiness. And that's we end up seeing, people transfer and try to find a place where it's just what makes them happy. And right. There was a famous story. If you're a basketball person, there was a girl out of the state of Delaware who was the best player in the world. And she went to UConn. What was her name?
Elena Delle Donne.
She went to UConn, who is the greatest girls program in the world, and she didn't like it. And she quit. And she ended up transferring back to the University of Delaware. And she could have gone to USC. She could have gone to Tennessee. She could have gone to anywhere. And she went back home and went to Delaware. And didn't she take Delaware to the Final Four or something like that?
No, but they made the tournament, which for Delaware was a big deal.
So, and there is this, and then of course she's in the WNBA, right? Didn't she have a huge career?
She was probably the best player in the WNBA for 2 or 3 years. I don't know if she is right now, but in the last 5 years, she's been the best player probably 2 or 3 years.
So it just comes down to like, where's a good fit and where are you going to be happy? And this kid, we saw it in the tournament this year, the kid from UCLA that went to Kentucky, that's from Southern California, ended up transferring back home because he wanted to be around his family, he wanted to be around his sister, and UCLA made the big run. So it's neat that this kid chose happy. I mean, because you told me Milwaukee. I was like, I said, are you talking about Wisconsin, Green Bay? And you're like, no, Milwaukee. Yeah. And I'm like, so is this like a brand? And you're like, no, it's the university. Is it Marquette? Was another one I said, because you're like, no, I'm telling you, it's the University of Milwaukee, which I didn't even know is a Division I school, but like, good for him. And if they can work it out, it's good that his dad is. A lot of times dads that are coaches, the kids want to get away because they're like, I need to go somewhere away from my dad. And It is a neat story, and it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. And we've seen lots of guys, we've seen guys from Creighton in the NBA. We've seen guys, you don't have to go to Kentucky or Kansas to star in the league. We've seen that.
No, you don't. So that's like the rainbow version of the story. And I agree with the rainbow version of the story. I guess like the other side of this story would be dad is not doing too hot at Milwaukee. Baldwin Sr. has a record of 47-70. He's entering his 5th season. And I believe his contract was supposed to be up either this upcoming year or the year after. So there is some aspects there where his dad may have more pressure now because his son is coming than he would have if his son wouldn't have came. So I don't know. There's a whole other dynamic there, family dynamic of I grew up in a family where what I did, my father or mother was not dependent on my performance or what I did. This is a unique situation because how this kid plays and what he's able to do, his dad is kind of dependent, because you and I have talked about it. The worst part about college coaching that no one likes to talk about is your job performance is dependent on 18 to 21-year-olds and how they're feeling that day. And so it's one thing to be a college coach and you're dependent on a random guy or girl. It's another thing to be a college coach and you are now dependent on your son or daughter for your performance and what ends up happening in your career. Now, fortunately, he gets to do it with a top 5 recruit, but still, I think there's some dynamics there that people aren't really taking into consideration when they're telling the rainbow story.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That is interesting, because now you all almost look at it like he's not being paid, but if his dad still has a job, that there's a financial incentive to this. Now, what you tell me, what does a head coach at the University of Milwaukee make? $100,000?
Yeah, I would imagine it's if it's not triple digits, it's very close.
Okay. So
I would be shocked if it was less than, $90,000. It's probably above that.
So then the flip side, and this, you also wonder if this is a world of COVID, because we've seen all kinds of guys who in football had opted out and still got drafted really high. So they might be looking at this and saying, listen, you're going to go to combines, you're going to go to these summer camps. If you play well, it doesn't matter. They're gonna do your measurables, and it doesn't matter. So yeah, maybe he's trying to save his old man's job, and maybe can you still go one and done?
You can right now. You can still go one and done. It's actually, I believe, in a year or so that's going to do away. You don't even have to go one and done because they're getting rid of that.
Okay, so maybe he's only there for who knows? And maybe the $100,000 that he's saving his dad in a job, once he signs in the league, maybe all of a sudden it doesn't matter anymore. Maybe dad becomes an assistant coach wherever he signs.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I just think there's more to it. And I'm not accusing them of anything. I'm just simply saying, like, the dynamics there are a little catchier, I think, than what the story is necessarily giving credit for. For sure.
Yeah, that is,
Interesting, right? Not bad. And
others, like I remember Bryce Drew playing for Homer Drew at Valpo. Like, it's not the first.
Oh, no, there was a kid, R.J. Hunter, who was drafted by the Celtics like 2 or 3 years ago. They were in the NCAA tournament. He hit like a big shot, like a buzzer beater, and his dad was the coach. It wasn't Old Dominion. I'm blanking on the school now. But anyway, yes, it is not uncommon, is your point.
Didn't it happen at Creighton too? Wasn't?
Oh, yeah, there's lots. McDermott played for his dad at Creighton. Like, there's a lot of them. But the difference though is those examples, the fathers were very successful.
Right.
And not that this guy isn't, like, if you get a D1 job, you were probably successful at some point. Like, I'm not sitting here saying this guy doesn't know his stuff and he's not a good coach. I'm just saying this is different in the sense of, like, dad is a little bit on the hot seat compared to other times that this has happened. And also, as good as McDermott and Drew and some of those guys became, and they all became professional players, none of them were even close to being top 5 recruits. They might not even have been in the top 100.
This reminds me a little bit of Denzel and Ray Allen, and He Got Game. Like, son, this is where you got to go to school. Except it's not to get dad out of prison; it's to keep dad's job.
Yeah, no, it is. I think it's the real story. I really do. I think the real.
Did you like that movie? Did you like He Got Game?
It was good, but it wasn't like I don't rewatch it.
It is your favorite basketball movie has to be White Man Can't Jump.
White Man Can't Jump is up there. Finding Forrester for me personally, because I was, English teacher and writing and stuff like that. So Finding Forrester is up there. I think Hoosiers is a little overrated. I think it's great, but some people have it like top 3, their favorite. I don't think it's that great, but
Hoosiers is great.
I have always said this. Basketball is the hardest one. It's the hardest one for movies. It's the hardest one for video games. It's the hardest one to write about. Because, like, in everything else, there is a stationary moment where you can kind of manipulate what's going on. And in basketball, you don't get to do that. So, like, when you do a football movie, there's a huddle, and then there's a line, and then there's a sequence before the ball is snapped. So you can actually have stationary moments in time where you're able to play off of it. And basketball just isn't that way. And it's just it is hard to make a good basketball film. And it's impossible to make a good basketball video game. It is.
Well, they do it at the foul line. And that's why at the end of Finding Forrester and at the end of Hoosiers, we go to the foul line.
Correct. Because how else? The game just moves too much. And not only that, it's awful for dialogue. Like a football movie, you can put in dialogue here and there, and like after someone makes a tackle, they say something to them as they're getting off of them. Like there's all these moments, and same things in baseball. There's all these moments to add dialogue. Basketball, like the dialogue moves just as quickly as the action. It's hard to do.
No, there's some good dialogue in Hoosiers. My team is on the floor is one of the great lines in movie history.
No, and that's why it's considered, I think, one of the great ones is they figured out a way to do that. But it's hard. It's not easy. Video games, it's funny, like I love football video games, but basketball video games are awful because you can't – in football, the ball is, for the majority of the part, it's in the hand. Baseball, for the majority of the part. With basketball, in the dribbling, like you just can't duplicate it. It's just not possible.
And foods that start with Q.
And foods that start with Q. That is the truth. Let's do this real quick. William Cooper, he says Basketball Diaries and Above the Rim. Have you seen Above the Rim?
I haven't seen either of them.
You've got to see. Well, you have to see Above the Rim.
Wait, is Basketball Diaries with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yes.
I did see it. I don't remember much of it. Above the Rim.
Some lady from Blossburg said Space Jam is the best. I will say this.
Space Jam is good.
Space Jam has the best soundtrack by far.
Nah, Space Jam is good. Even Space Jam is a good movie.
Smee Bree said, "Don't take my freedom away," is what you just wanted to say. I think she was referring to when I was talking about the COVID lottery initiatives. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not. Maybe I didn't go that far. I'm just saying if I want to be incentivized by not being threatened, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. The PR could be a lot better.
A lot better. Sharon said, "People are so cruel. I love Ellen and The View. I love Ellen. The View I could do without, but also like I want The View to be around. Like I think it's important that there's other opinions and other people are talking. I don't love The View, but I don't think we should get rid of it just because I dislike it."
Well, and that's what happened. I mean, this is a horrible comparison, but it was the exposing of this fake facade. It's like what happened with the Catholic Church. Like, it's not what you see, it's what's going on behind closed doors. And that's what happened with Ellen. Everyone that watched the Ellen show loved it. It is a brilliant show. And her stand-up is brilliant. And and I'm overusing the word brilliant, but
that's all right.
But anyway, it's the whole what you see behind the curtain isn't what you see in front of the curtain.
We're getting through these. Do you think the media is to blame for the shortage
of gas?
Yeah.
No, people, we have been taught to panic.
Not even a little bit.
Snow pouring. We're going to get a storm. People flock to the store. No.
Right. Okay,
I mean, the media brings the news to us, but we panic about orange juice and milk when we're going to get snow, and we've done it forever. So people just panic.
Okay. Referring to Ellen, Steve says she doesn't know why the ratings tanked and why she has to quit. She's baffled and feels like she is being canceled. I personally haven't seen that. Do you think it feels like she's being canceled? Like a little bit? I think she's walking away before it happens.
She might be retiring before they designate her for assignment. It might be something that,
And I said, I think I wrote yesterday, her contract ends 2022 as well.
Yes, her contract is coming to an end. Yes. So she basically announced she is going to retire from the show before they could not renew her contract, because now she certainly has more marketability because she didn't.
But it's what I said. It's what I said to you, knowing when to leave.
Yeah.
To me, this feels like someone who is recognizing when to leave.
Yeah, because the ratings have gone. It's yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, it feels that way. All right, good show. Anything else you want to give a shout to? I don't have a Bill Gates update today. Maybe tomorrow.
Why is he off the? Is he in love again?
There's some rumors.
I will give an update tonight at the Leiter Elementary Little League field. If any kids get lippy, I'm sending them packing. I'm not taking any guff from any kid whining about balls and strikes tonight.
You're behind the plate.
The mean umpire is behind the plate.
Give us your call.
Well, I haven't seen the pitch yet.
Oh, ball.
Strike. No, actually, this is what happened. I say yes and no. Because I've always, just like when my brother was pitching, I'd be watching, I'd be like, yes. no. And then, so when the pitch is like, no, that's outside. And I start with no. And sometimes I just say no. And then when it's a strike, I just say yes. So
nice. I actually like that. I think that should be done more often.
It works.
Yeah.
It works. Really, but just the first kid that walks up to the plate, I should just throw him and just announce my presence with authority.
Yeah. You want to set the line. You don't want the kids to set it. You want to set it.
This is the conversation I end up having most when I'm umpiring, and I know no one's listening anymore, so I can keep saying this. The kids that are behind the catcher, at some point during the game, the catcher's usually their dad is usually in the dugout, and they don't block a ball, and the dad yells at them for not keeping the ball in front of them. And the kid is mumbling back and forth, and I end up having a conversation with the catcher that's like, listen, I had a dad too. Just shake it out. Don't worry about it. There's no way you could have blocked that. Like Yadier Molina couldn't have blocked that pitch. So don't worry about it. So that's what I have, a running psychological dialogue with the catcher while he's mumbling profanities against his father in the dugout.
We should sometime make a list of things that parents or coaches get upset about and yell at the kids for. Because I've talked to you about like layups and free throws, because like no kid in America has ever wanted to miss a layup. Like no kid goes to the free throw line and goes like, oh, I'm going to miss this. I hope I miss this shot. And it's the same thing with like stopping the ball behind the plate.
And they'll like yank. When you watch in the big leagues, and you have to watch a lot of baseball, like curveballs and breaking balls and stuff, the catcher's ready for it. He understands that it's supposed to get here on a fly, but I'm more ready. A fastball is not supposed to bounce ever. And if a big leaguer like yanks a fastball, and you're in trouble, and they'll throw it like 3 feet this way, and the dad's like, you got to block that. I was like, you couldn't have blocked that with a wall. Like I don't understand it. So there's
the other one. You as a parent, the other one, you as a parent, like the spilled glass of milk. Like no kid has ever gone to the table and has like said like, I can't wait to spill this glass. Like I can't, like ever. No kid has ever done that.
No. See, I'm more of I've always, as a parent, I've always been like, how do we remedy it? Like if you spilled it, like let's move everything real quick.
Sure.
If your phone, like grab your phone and do this. But yeah, like once it's spilled. There's no use yelling at people.
We should like have a ranking. Like what are the top things that like, because the spilled glass of milk is up there and I've never understood it.
The thing that happens at Little League that just cracks me up is a kid will make a bad throw and then the coach yells, we need to make good throws. And I love it. And I'm sure I'm going to hear it tonight. And you're just like, wow. I'm sure the kid never thought of that. I'm sure when he picked up the ground ball at short, his thought was, I should bounce this off the fence. And now that you told him that he should make good throws, now it all registers.
Right.
And telling pitchers they need to throw strikes. Like
the other one too is misspelled words. I've never understood like yelling at someone for misspelling something, because like it's not they just don't know. Like it's not that they want to misspell it. They just don't know it yet. I've never understood that one either.
Yeah, that we could do a long one about the yelling at athletes and students and performers and all kinds of things. Yeah. That where it just not only does it not help, it makes it worse. But that's what the people in authority think they're helping.
Well, it's hard because I think you feel like sometimes for parents you want to help and you don't know how to help, and so it comes out verbal.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching the Midday Show. Thank you for sticking around, getting to listen to my parenting advice.
There's nobody sticking around, right? There's nobody left right now.
Oh, they're all here. Thank you for sticking around, listening to my parenting advice, since I have just oodles of experience. Thank you to Weis Markets. Go there for all your grocery needs. Mark's getting his shot there today. Good luck to Mark. And thank you to NorthcentralPa.com. Go there for all your local news. And we will be back tomorrow.
And just for the record, I will not be watching the shot. I'm sure I will feel it, but I will be looking away.
You have to look away.
Or there would be cleanup in aisle 4.
I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Thanks for watching the Midday Show on NorthcentralPA.com.
We'll see you tomorrow.